Today we get to see an LAPD sergeant do a good job of slowing his roll. Hi everybody, welcome to today's bonus badge cam lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host, John Correa, and with me the host of the Ask Podcast, Mike Williver.
Today's video comes to us from Hollywood, California.
BakerTargets.com is where I get the targets you see me shoot all the time on Active Self-Protection Extra. They ship fast, their prices are great, and they have all kinds of targets, both for competitive shooting, defensive shooting, and fun too. Check them out. This sergeant is just patrolling in Hollywood because they've seen an increase in crime where you're gonna see these girls come up and tell him that someone has just stabbed their friend in a random attack. Let's listen in on the badge cam from there.
6L20, let me get an additional to my location for 415 man. Who stabbed you? Where?
Right here, he stabbed her with the knife.
Right there. This guy? This guy? Come here. Come here. Get your hands up. Come over here. 6L20. Let me get back up at my location for 415 man with a knife. He's over on Highland, just north of Hollywood Boulevard. 6L20. Let me get FD to my location as well. I've got a female approximately 30 years old. She's suffering from a stab wound on her abdomen. She's conscious and breathing. Hey, get out of there! You, get out of there! Hey, get out of there! You, get out! Boss, listen to me. I need your cooperation. I need your cooperation. He's got a knife. He's got a knife. Stand by. Did he just throw it? Did he just throw it?
Hey, dude, just do me a favor. Drop that. Drop the can in your hand. Drop it, bro. We're gonna get you some help.
Okay.
We can't help you.
Get me less lethal. You got? Who's got the beanbag? Who's got the 40?
Hey, just drop it, bro.
Go for 20. Requesting an RA for a female, approximately 30 years old. She's suffering from a stab wound on the stomach. She's conscious and breathing.
Hey, sir, you want to do that?
Boss, give him the warning. Give him the warning.
Hey, give me
Stand by, shots fired.
The patrol car that rolled up had a dash cam attached to it, and you can see the expression on our perp here and how he's treating these officers. We can listen in on it as well.
some help. We can't help you until you drop bro. My border.
6L20, come on.
Hey, just drop it, bro. Come on, bro. Drop it.
20. Repeat your RA request.
Requesting an RA for a female, approximately 30 years old. She's suffering from a stab wound on the stomach.
63, RA, Hollywood Highland.
Come on, drop the line. Hey, drop the line. Drop the line.
Stand by.
Shot fired? I shot fired. Shot fired? Shot fired.
Finance officer is South Hollywood and Highland. Finance officer is South Hollywood and Highland, shots fired.
Hey, put the knife down.
Overhead, you're leaving here. They are going to be on north
Shot fired.
corner of Hollywood Highland.
Drop the knife. Drop the knife.
Drop the knife. All right.
Who's there? Who shot? Get out of there! Who fired? Get on the ground! He dropped the knife. He dropped the knife. Okay. I need lethal and less lethal. Come over here. Give me cover.
I got one feedback from left. I need someone else for arresting. By your foot. All right.
He's nice by the foot. Cover to the right. Cover to the right. Cover to the right. hold up, hold up.
Roll over onto your stomach, bud.
Roll to your stomach, boss. Roll to your stomach. Turn the other way. Turn the other way.
One person at a time. One person at a time.
The perp was shot in the arm. You can see right here, the knife that he had on him has about a 4.5 or 5-inch blade. He was shot in the arm and had a beanbag wound as well. They got him into custody and he is facing aggravated assault charges. The female victim who was stabbed was taken to the hospital in stable condition and is expected to recover fully. I want to invite each and every one of you to come this year to the Active Self-Protection National Conference. Mike, you went for the first time this year.
Yeah, I got to tell you, folks, I was expecting a thing with some negatives. I won't go into it, but it was really good. It was really, really good. And just amazing instructors. I'll be helping lead worship. Check it out.
Mike, I think this is one of the more chaotic beginnings I've ever seen because he doesn't get dispatched. He gets just a report immediately and he has to figure out who the victim is, who the perp is, what's going on. This is chaos.
Absolutely. I've been on scenes like this, and you approach this and there's absolutely so much going on. You're trying to get your bearings, trying to figure out where your victim is, where your suspect is. Everyone is being unhelpful by screaming and running around in circles. So
I do think that what I love that this sergeant did immediately is he sees this guy who is his perp in an isolated area and he slows his roll. Even though that guy is using slurs at him and those things, he just maintains his space, slows down and waits for more units.
Yeah, cops, hear me when I say this. People are calling you names and they are imputing the character of your mother. They don't know who you are. They have no idea. You can't let it get to you. You gotta let it roll off your back. It's just, they're just talking to the uniform, to the badge. So this guy did a great job, as you said, John, of just slowing his roll and making sure this guy stayed contained and away from the other people.
Now, and I love what he does here. He finally tells this person, hey, you get out of there. Now that shows, I think, how kind of mindless most people are when they are walking. Because, of course, if there was another innocent person here, the officer's gonna have to use up, the sergeant is, all of his discretionary time and go make contact with this guy. But as soon as that person gets out of there, again, there's no reason to approach this guy without more people.
Yeah, and you see the crook turns as well and looks at the guy's direction, which is not great. Folks, if you see a cop on the street talking to someone who's, I don't know, 13, 14 feet away like that, have your head up, get your head out of your phone, pay attention to what's going on around you, because you could end up being shot. If this guy charged at the officer with a knife and his marksmanship skills weren't perfect, you don't want to get shot, stay away from the stuff what cops are doing. Just clear out of the area.
See what's going on in your world. And because he had this discretionary time, he's able to kind of talk to this guy a little bit. Now, I get this, boss, listen to me, I need your cooperation. And I want to talk about this a little bit, that our sergeant says, I need your cooperation. Now, I get it. He's trying to build some rapport with him and get some compliance. Remember, first we have to make contact, then build rapport, then we can start to influence behavior. And quite frankly, this perp is not interested in what you need. He is only interested in what he needs, so talk to him about what he can do and why he would want to do it.
If this LAPD sergeant is watching and listening, Mike at ActiveSelfProtection.com, I would love to talk to you because I have a strong suspicion the phrase "I need your cooperation" was focus group tested, and some sort of outside company came in to do de-escalation training, and this is one of their trademark phrases. But it's clunky. It doesn't work.
Yeah. So instead, again, what can I do in your world, right? Tell me what's going on with you. May I ask you to put the knife down, please? I'm here to help you. Those kinds of things. And I get it. This guy's a perp, and he is probably not going to respond to any of that. But one of those strategies that we say is rather than a trite phrase, I need. Nobody cares what you need. The perp does not care anything about what you need. Instead, hey man, what's going on with you today? Can I ask you to do this, please?
And for those listening who aren't Ellie, understand that, why didn't he just run up and grab the guy? Why didn't he do that? He's doing the perfect thing right now. And all these things that he's saying, if it's about the perfect phraseology, the things that he's saying are going to protect him civilly later on, because he did everything he could to reason with this person and try to get a peaceful resolution to this incident.
Now, I think it's pretty interesting here that when the frontline uniforms show up, when his guys show up, this sergeant backs off real well. He doesn't demand, well, I'm first on scene, so I'm going to be the front line. He instead, hey, we're going to get you some help. Let me back off and let you talk.
And if you notice, now these officers just arriving have the car for some kind of cover and a barrier. For a lot of this time, he was keeping that newspaper dispenser in between him and the bad guy, and that wasn't an accident.
No, it absolutely wasn't. So now we get the beanbag out, we get, okay, he's just doing, I think, a great job of communicating and doing the sergeant's job. Let them do their job, he's gonna do his job, and I think that that's a really good deal of the sergeant not demanding to be in charge here.
This is a consistent thing we're seeing with the LAPD videos. It's a proud organization, they've been around for a long time, and their training is top-notch, and you see that their unit training is top-notch. And having a sergeant, this time he happened to be the one they flagged down, but frequently we'll see these situations where they're dealing with something, and there is a sergeant or a lieutenant there directing the officers and doing a very good job of it.
Very good job. Now, this guy decides at this moment, he is now walking forward strongly and purposefully. Now, I get it. Somebody's gonna ask, well, wait a minute, the officer with the beanbag shot, why did the other guys shoot? The only reason the guy with the beanbag shot is because that's what he had in his hand, and his mind said, oh, shoot this guy, and that's all he had available in his mind. The other guys used their handguns, why? Because they were providing lethal cover, and this was a lethal threat.
Yeah, the beanbag is there for one reason, that is to try to talk this guy to what he's doing. You're not gonna stop anybody with a beanbag. I mean, if you hit him in the face, maybe, but you're not gonna stop a fight with a beanbag round if the guy's determined. You hit it on the nail on the head, John. That's what he had in his hands when the guy started to move forwards. Those were his options. This is perfectly textbook. Less lethal with lethal cover.
Yeah, less lethal with lethal cover, and when it became a lethal threat, as he takes a step towards him. Now, of course, I want to look at this from the perspective of the dash cam again as well. This guy is clearly what we have here. We have a high emotion. You can see him laughing, smiling, doing all those things, and then making sudden movements. So high emotion, contaminated thinking. Non-compliant person, and this is time for emergency communication. You got to recognize I'm gonna have a hard time making contact with this guy. It's gonna be almost impossible for me to affect his behavior.
Yeah, this guy's clearly mentally ill. So this is, I mean, he made it through this, so it's a good outcome. I mean, but you being in the position of these officers, they know who they're dealing with here. That's very clear. This guy has mental issues, and he wants to get shot today. He got his wish, but it still sucks. In the short term, it's a bad outcome. I mean, but he lives, so that's good.
And we look here again. He is not just kind of hanging out or whatever. That knife's in his left hand, and he has started making purposeful strides towards the officer. When we start talking about the objective, reasonable standard, what would an objective, reasonable person think in this moment? This man has already stabbed someone. He is now striding purposefully towards the officers who have guns. He clearly represents a deadly threat.
And just beyond them, to their back, is a chaotic scene full of regular people running around like headless chickens because somebody got stabbed. We're not going to let this guy get so far that they're in the middle of a gunfight.
A classic case that they had to stand their ground. They couldn't back up because of the scene behind them. So when you get to that place, it's not just can I shoot this guy, it's not even should I shoot this guy. Right now, I have to shoot this guy. Otherwise, really, really unacceptable outcomes are gonna happen. Now, they hit him, great. I do wanna recognize. It's one of the reasons that we say, listen, why didn't they shoot him in the arm? Why didn't they shoot him in the leg? Recognize he's still up. This is a psychological stop, but you can see back behind him a little ways, there's people. He could easily have chosen to go and stab those people.
There's a guy gonna be in the podcast, hopefully early next year, who was a police officer, who was in a gunfight, hit the guy like 14 times in vital areas, and the guy kept coming. So this, please don't come at me with why they shoot him in the arm or the leg or whatever else. That's just, I think we've disproven that that's a thing that's going to end any kind of a fight like this. They've got to keep this guy from getting to those people, and those people being in the middle of a hail of bullets. You have to shoot to stop the threat. That means center of mass.
All right, if you've watched the badge cams for any length of time, you know I'm gonna make a comment here about the sling. Guys, please hear me. Utilize the sling if it's on the gun, throw it over your neck, throw it over your arm. That's what it's there for. And we're gonna see in another video soon here on the channel, you're gonna see another instance where that's gonna become a pretty important part. So when you've got a long gun with a sling, use the sling. Take a little time and get used to that sling so you know how it works, so that if you need to, like he needed to in this case, drop the beanbag and draw your sidearm in order to defend yourself with lethal force, you can do so. Now, in the follow-up here, man, I really think what you said earlier, Mike, I see professionalism here. I see these guys slow their roll, the guy lies down, drops the knife, and so then they go, okay, how are we best gonna approach this guy to get him into custody, to get him medical help because he's been shot, and to eliminate and end the threat to the public here. And they did that by slowing their roll, communicating well, and acting as a team.
There's two things here the officers are thinking about. One is, I want this guy in custody safely. Two is, I don't want this guy to bleed to death. I want to try to get in there and render some aid. But this is a tricky situation. How fast do you approach? Does he have any other weapons? Can we see him clearly with that palm tree in the way? LAPD clearly trains this stuff all the time. I think they have some of the most in-service training of any agency. California generally has excellent police officers. I work with all kinds of agencies out there in my career. These guys have a lot going on in their mind. They handle this just about as textbook as it could have been handled. I don't like the sergeant asking who shot, who shot, who shot. Bro, we'll figure that out later. That's an unnecessary question right now.
One last thing, you see this right here, the fact that he's got the beanbag shotgun on the sling on his back. This is why you use the sling, guys. This is what it's for. This is where it ends up, which is why you want to throw it over your shoulder to begin with.
Yeah, muzzle down is suboptimal, obviously. There's no real safe direction in this environment. There's people everywhere, that could be hit by a stray round. Know that shotguns in general will discharge if they're just jostled the wrong way, because there's nothing blocking that striker from hitting the prime with a shotgun round. So practice with your sling. Get a sling. Even if the only long gun you have is a beanbag gun, that's okay. Practice with it. If you don't know how to use the thing, ask somebody in your firearms cadre to show you, because really here, ideally, this is going to be on a 2-point sling that's going to be on with the barrel facing up and away from our bad guy. If you shoot someone in this position accidentally, qualified immunity no longer holds with you. You're in trouble. You have a world of hurt on your hands.
So just be careful. Learn to use the sling. And I think, though, in an overall sense, these officers did an excellent job.
Well done, LAPD. I think you covered your ass.